I want to welcome you to the Pro Mindset Podcast. The Pro Mindset Podcast is all about diving into the headspace that results in championship performance. High-performing athletes, winners, have this mental flow and have a positive headspace for their performances and success. Join me, Craig Domann, sports attorney and NFL agent, on this podcast. I will interview pro athletes, college athletes, football coaches, and sports personalities. Together, we can discover how you can get in the flow and have your own pro mindset. Well, Coach, you talked about the important ingredients for a superstar and for anybody for that matter in the NFL is passion, not being afraid to fail, and preparing for your job. And if you can do that, you're going to maximize your talent. Well, if you don't like your boss or the coach doesn't make it fun, your passion's not going to be as high.
That's where the mental side of the game for you, okay, you don't have control of what that seat handles, okay? You only control what you can do. So that player, if he plays at a high level, and he's a good professional, he plays all the time, right? He creates that passion. I mean, Joe Thomas played 10,363 snaps. That's a lot of snaps. He prepared himself from good teams and bad teams. I don't know how many good teams he was on, really, John, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? But he had a way of making it work for him. He's going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he's going to go in on a first ballot guy. As a professional player, your job is to do your job. Okay? Eliminate the distractions. Right? As best you can, eliminate the distractions and do your job. If you're doing your job, then things will get better for you. It may not be in the building, it may be with another team. But if you're not doing your job because you're letting the outside distractions that you have no control over bother you, then you're going to get worse as a player. It ain't going to be the way you want it to be. You need to get better as a player, okay? Number one, you may get more money. Number two, your chances of going with another team will be greater when you become a free agent. They'll have films to look at, and they'll say, hey, this guy's a pretty good football player. So when free agency comes, okay, not only the team you're on, but other teams, okay, now you've got leverage. You have the leverage because of the way you played. If you go in and you're miserable and you don't play up to your standard, then you're going to be stuck in that hole. You're going to be stuck there. Okay? Because nobody's going to want to bother with you. Because there's no reason to bother with you because it's not that good on film. They're going to look at the guys on film, all right, that are productive. Production is the key thing in the game. What production do you have? Sometimes it's not always going to look pretty. That's what most young coaches don't understand in the National Football League. Okay? They want it to look textbook. And it's not going to always look textbook. It's the production of the player. You know what I mean? If I'm watching the right tackle, right guard, it doesn't matter. And that guy, right, is crossing over too far. He's got his hand placement wrong. Okay? Or he's not doing something that's, what I think should be done. But he's blocking his guy. And he's blocking his guy 83, 85, 90% of the time. He's blocking that guy. That guy doesn't make the play on run or pass. Well, I'd be crazy as a coach to try to change that. Guy, it's a production guy. He's blocking his guy 90% of the time. Why do I want to change that? Get to 100? Okay.
Well, Coach, you talked.
You may not be able to play.
Yeah, Coach, you talked about, your job in the NFL is to do your job. What you didn't say was style points. You don't get graded on your production based upon style points, but some coaches do. And they're looking more for how it looks than the actual end result. And I think that's sometimes why teams draft the wrong guy. I think it's sometimes why they sign the wrong guy in free agency. Or they're playing the wrong guy and they can't figure out why he's not getting the job done because he looks good.
Right, exactly. You hit the nail right on the head. In my world, what I live in, okay, I grade them. I give them 2 grades. I give them a grade on assignments, and then I give them a technical grade because I want to see if they're trying to do the right techniques. Because I'm still teaching the techniques, okay? Now, when I get to a guy and I know, hey, this is the way he does it. Well, then I need to grade him. Okay, because that's the way he plays. He plays that way. And he gets it done. Now, I'll go over and I'll say, hey, you need to get your left foot on that guy's inside toe. And he goes, yeah, coach, I know it, you know what I mean? But, I saw this and he's moving over and I thought he was going outside. So I went over, they don't have questions of what they see. They have to go play the game. You know what I mean? And then I go and I look at the great productions. This guy doesn't make the play. Oh, I say, I coach him and then they play. Okay? Their guys are not making a play. In coaching, I really believe there's a point, okay, as a good football coach, is when not to coach. Don't mess the guy up. Don't over-coach the guy. A secret to, I think, is when not to coach him. Guy, he's doing it. This guy ain't making a play. And it's happening game after game after game. That's the way the kid plays. That's the way he plays the game. Don't mess the kid up. Right? So there's a point in time, through experience where you don't coach the guy. I mean, you coach him, you tell him what to do, you tell him the assignments, you try to get him to do the right techniques. But there's a point in time where, hey, this is the way he plays. This is the way he plays the game, and it's working for him. Well, because it doesn't look pretty. I mean, I had, Olin Kruetz, who I thought was one of the better centers in the National Football League when I had him. There was a thing, was it Mawai or was it Kruetz? I'm passionate to Olin. I love him. I thought he was the best center. You know what I mean? I thought he should have a chance to get into the place down in Canton, Ohio. Okay, but sometimes he blocked guys with his back. He was looking at the quarterback. The quarterback would be throwing the ball, but he got himself in a bad position. So he spun around and blocked the guy with his back. Now, how do I grade that? You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
He's looking at the quarterback. The quarterback's throwing a ball. His guy is nowhere near the quarterback. There's a 5-yard separation. But the technique's entirely wrong. But the production was fantastic. This guy didn't get near the quarterback. So there's those things, okay, all play a part. And a lot of the really good players will find how they do it, and it works for them. And as a line coach or whatever position you're coaching, if it's working for them and they're producing, keep your mouth shut. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes the best words are silence.
Yes.
Okay, Coach, let's go back to the guys that are coming into the NFL. Every year we draft, the NFL drafts 250 some guys, and 30 to 40 of them are offensive linemen. What do you look for, and what do you recommend to a college offensive lineman that's getting ready for the 2020 draft or the 2021 draft? What does he need to work on? I don't care who it is. I don't care how good he is. I don't care what level he plays at. What are the things that he should be focused on in addition to just doing his job at the college level?
I think that when I get the kids, okay, number one, I try to find out how smart they are. How smart is this kid? And is he going to be able to handle everything that we're going to give them mentally? Okay, that's a big thing. The smartest players usually seem to last the longest, okay? Now, for athletic ability, my big thing with offensive linemen is most of the good offensive linemen that I've dealt with, right, the core strength of their body, their lower body leg strength, and their foot quickness, okay? Now, they'll length of their arms, all that stuff, or how big their hands are, all that stuff plays a part in it, okay? But the core strength of their body, their lower body leg strength, their foot quickness, how smart are they? Okay, what do they see? Okay, when they're out there, okay? That's because they're going to play the game. But if I'm telling a guy, that's the guy what I want the guy to work on. Your core strength of your body, your lower body leg strength, because you're going to move guys. The core strength is going to keep you balanced. It's going to keep your center of gravity down the middle of your body. And how fast can you move your feet? Okay, because the defense is not going to just sit there like you block them. They're going to slant, angle, loop. Okay, they're going to do a whole bunch of different things to you. And you need to be able to move your feet, stay on the block. If you can't do that, okay, right, then move on to the next guy. You know what I mean? I learned that, years ago. There was a guy named Tiger Johnson. Great. He's a player. He was a Coach Brown's right-hand guy for years. He coached at the Bengals. He was a former offensive lineman in the league. Right? I 16-meter film days, be watching that film, right? And I sit down and I watch film with Tiger. Sometimes he watch one canister, and then he watch a little bit of another, and he put it down. And then I'd say, you like him? You don't like him? Well, how come you because I always thought you had to look at 3-4 films like I can go, yeah. You do all that stuff. He says, look, if he can't stay on the blocks, okay, why do you want to waste your time with the guy? Move on to another guy. Go to somebody else. Okay? So the key thing about staying on blocks is the core strength of your body. Your lower body leg strength and your foot quickness. If you're an offensive lineman, you're going to be working on those things, okay? And then I think your hands, right? How quick are your hands, okay, like a boxer? Because that's what you're going to end up doing. I keep telling the guys, take boxing lessons. Go take boxing lessons because that's what boxers do. They hit people moving in space with their hands, right? They got to learn how to do that. That would be the next thing. Core strength, lower body leg strength, foot quickness, and how fast, how quick are their hands. That all plays a part into, okay, how well you're going to play. Okay, and then how tough are they? How physical are they? Because you like the physical, tough. You like the physical, tough, smart guys. That's what you would like. Find those guys. They're physical, they're tough, and they're smart. The guy that came out of Notre Dame last year, that was their left guard, that kid. Yeah, he went to the Colts, okay? Yeah. That kid. He's physical, he's tough, and he's smart. Find those guys, okay? But as young guys coming out, you better be looking your core, your lower body leg strength, your foot quickness. They don't make you do that bench press. I still haven't figured out maybe do all that bench press, okay? Because your thumbs are turned in, okay, which weakens yourself, okay? You're struggling when your thumbs are up and out, okay? And you're going to play, and most line coaches are going to teach you how to play with your thumbs out and up, okay, to get your body angles aligned correctly. Core strength, lower body leg strength, okay, and foot quickness. What kind of balance and ability do they have to stay on blocks? Okay, so, and if you can't pass block in the National Football League, then you're probably not going to play. Okay?
No doubt.
Because those quarterbacks are going to go back there. Some of those quarterbacks are getting paid a lot of money. Okay? And you better be able to keep your guy off the quarterback. Okay? And if you can do that all by yourself, okay, then you can make a lot of money in that league. Okay? If you can block your guy one-on-one, and we don't have to chip, we don't have to slide to you, we don't have to put the tight end over there, we don't have to do any of those things. And you can block your guy one-on-one, okay, one-on-one pass pro, you're gonna be doing pretty good for yourself, okay? And keep those guys off the quarterback. So in the run game, they can help you with double teams. You know what I mean? They can do things to do that. Same things they can help you with the pass game. But if you can do those things by yourself, okay, then they can do other things with the protections and stuff.
Gotcha. All right, Coach, share with the audience a funny story, PG, that pops in your head from your days in the NFL coaching.
I'm coaching for Sam. And Sam, we got sacked. There was a sack. Okay? And Sam comes down the sideline. And I know he's looking for me. I can hear him over the headset. And he's screaming, my nickname is Wiles. Wiles! Wiles! And I'm looking at him. He's coming. He's getting closer and closer. So we just got sacked. He said, we just got sacked for an 8-yard loss. And he looked at me. He goes, why? And I said, well, Coach, we got sacked for an 8-yard loss because he didn't go back 10 yards. If he went back 10 yards, it would have been a 10-yard sack. He says, I'm trying to figure the thing out myself. He just stops and he looks at me and he starts laughing.
That's funny.
It was a sack. Well, later on, Sam retires. Okay, and he gets a syndicated cartoon column in all the major papers. New York Times, Chicago Tribune, Los Angeles, wherever it is. Okay, and it's called No Hole. And one of the things that was that exact moment, okay, it shows the quarterback getting hit. Okay, it shows Sam on the next deal, he's screaming, Wiles, Wiles. Then it shows him in the next square. He's coming down the sideline, Right now, I'm looking at him, and he's getting closer to me. And then the last caption is what I said. Why'd he go get 8-yard sack? Because then he go back 10 yards.
That is crazy.
And that's some of the funny things that happen in some of the staff meetings. Is I tell everybody there's 2 different second and 10s in pro football. And people don't really realize there's 2 different second and 10s in pro football. They're just looking at the down markers. But if you have the headsets on, there are really 2 different second and 10s in pro football. The first one, right, they call a running play. So play goes in, quarterback gets the ball, turns around, he hands it to the tailback. Okay, tailback runs into the line of scrimmage, pow, gets stuffed, no gain. And all of a sudden, over the headset, you hear, Wiles, we're not moving anybody. Nobody's coming off the ball. We're not blocking anybody. What's going on out there? Now, maybe the only 4th play of the game. Tell me that in the 4th quarter. Don't tell me that's the 4th play of the game. Okay? So all that stuff, you hear all this noise over the headset. All these things going on. Get those guys going. So, next time, get the ball, next sequence of downs, 1st and 10, right? Quarterback drops back. He's got the ball snapped. He's coming back away from the line of scrimmage with the ball. All right? He throws the ball 6 yards over the receiver's head, incomplete. Nobody says a word. Just dead silence on the headsets. Now, is that 2nd and 10 different than the other 2nd and 10?
Nope.
Right. But if you get the headset on, it sounds entirely different. You know what I mean? I always like working with Sam, and he had the heart transplant. You know what I mean? And he got the heart transplant. He had like 1 day left before they were going to put him in hospice. And, he got a heart, and he's working for him. God bless his soul. And I called him up one day, and I said, what are you doing? So we talked about football and other things, and he says, I just rode my bike today for 17 miles.
Dang.
I said, you rode a bike today for 17 miles? He said, yeah, why? I said, Sam, number 1, if I get the urge to do that, I lie down till the urge goes away. And number 2, okay, right, if I drive that far, I get tired. Yeah. I don't want a bike. I said, what's wrong with you? Did you fall down? Are you bleeding? Right, what happened?
Well, he probably got a really young person's heart, so he's got a...
Well, he still has a great sense of humor.
Absolutely.
Okay? He has a wonderful sense of humor. Those are the guys you like coaching for, Craig.
No doubt. Well, I had 4 defensive starters one year with the Chiefs when Vermeil was the head coach, and they were going 13-3 every year and unfortunately losing in the first round of the playoffs. The players absolutely love Vermeil, and I think that's a testament to the players coach. And some coaches just have the gift, and some don't. But the players perform. I just feel like they sell out for the coaches that care about them.
Yes, I agree with wholeheartedly. Some coaches from the old school, Parcells school. You want your players to hate you. You want your players to, dislike you. And because you're trying to make them better. You know what I mean? That's hard on the players. It's hard on the coaches to do that. That's not your style. You know what I mean? That's, you can get what you can get what you want and not have to do that. You know what I mean? Coach Brown used to say, teach them, don't tell them. Teach them. And you can't be teaching them just scream at them all the time. The other day I happened to go by a high school practice, and I stopped it, and I listened to it. The noise coming off the field for guys yelling at players was unbelievable. And players don't know when you're mad at them if you yell at them all the time. Okay, teach them. There's going to be mistakes. That's going to happen. Okay, they're going to go the wrong way. Okay, they're going to run up sacks. They're going to run up pressures. They're going to throw interceptions. They're going to run the wrong way. They're going to turn the wrong. That's going to happen. Teach them. Because they're the first guys that know what they did wrong. Right? Teach them how to do it right. Okay, now, I granted there's places and there's times where you need to snap at them. And you need to get on them. Okay, but not every play. And that doesn't. When they're getting out of line, put them back in line. Okay, that's what I find different with a lot of the younger coaches. They think you have to be mean and tough and show them the grit and all that. And no, coach them. Coach them and teach them. You know what I mean? They'll get it. You're just hanging in with them. Now, some of them may get it, some of them may not. Okay? There's a level of talent plays a part in it. But keep working with the kids. Keep working with them. You never know when the light to come on, they're going to surprise you. What happens in the NFL, right? The amount of time, they want all that stuff to happen yesterday, especially in my position. They want it to happen yesterday to get the kid to play like he's a third-year-old pro. Okay? Right? In that position, they have to see it. And the only way they're going to see it is to play. You know what I mean? I tell my guys, if you're standing on the side of me during the game, okay, you're not getting any better. If you're standing on the side of me during the game, you're not getting any better. Right? In order to get better, you need to go out there and play. And that's what's going to make you better. Because you need to see it. You need to make those quick decisions. Right? You need to understand what the defense is trying to do to you. You know what I mean? All those type of things. You're not going to get that when you're standing by me on the sideline. So, so young players, you know what I mean? You got to find a way to get your butt on the field. You got to find a way, okay, however you find it, to get your butt, to get on the field to play. And sometimes it's against the defense. I told the guys, I said, look, you guys that are servicing the number one defense, and we put you in there, right? If you want to get the people to pay attention to you, you block those guys. You get more attention when you're blocking that first team 3 technique, okay, than you're going to get when we're jumping over bags or we're running through drills on air and any of that stuff, okay? That's where you're going to get noticed because those guys on defense, and they get their ass blocked by a guy that's servicing the defense, well, number one, the position coach is going to let them have it. Number two, the defensive coordinator is going to be on them. And then eventually what happens is they're going to go back and tell the head coach, hey, who's that guy? Who's the right guy? Who's number 73? Who's that guy? You know what I mean? Who's that guy? That guy's pretty good. He's blocked us all the time. That's where you get noticed, right? That's where you're going to get a chance to get on the field with the ones, okay? So, and I also say that you need to watch yourself play. So I'm getting the first 5 guys ready to play the game. The next 5 guys, okay, or the guys that are servicing, right, they got to go and they got to look at the defensive film with my assistant, right, and they got to go over that film with the coach so they can see their mistakes. They just can't go home after practice, okay? This practice is not done because I'm going to show the number ones what they did in practice, okay? I'm not going to go over what the second group did against the defense, okay? I got to go to another meeting. I got other responsibilities that I have in the game plan that I need to start to work on. So my assistant, or even a quality control assistant, if he's an offensive line guy, okay, they can sit there and they can go over the tape where those players are playing against the defense, the first-team defense, and go over their mistakes and their techniques. That's how you get better. That's what makes you better. You have a plan for those guys to do that. Instead of, okay, we're done with this meeting, we're all going to go home. No. When I'm done showing you guys what the first group did, and I leave, then the second group, you guys better get on the computer, switch over to the defensive side, and start watching yourselves play.
Absolutely.
Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. And I can tell you from even my own boys when they were playing youth football, when they started watching the games and watching themselves, they improve so much because it's not words they're listening to from a coach about how to get better. They're seeing it for themselves how they could have been better. And I think that, for parents out there that have little kids, whether they're playing basketball, soccer, it doesn't matter the sport. If you have an opportunity to show your son or daughter video of them playing, they'll learn the most.
Right, exactly. And I think the youngest thing for the audience, if you're kids that are playing sports, the toughest thing that I find coaching athletes, right? Whether it's little guys, whether it's the professional athletes, okay, is how to teach them how to stay in the moment. Stay in the moment that they're in. You know what I mean? Because it's the toughest thing for them to do. They're going to line up, right? The ball is snapped. They get a play from the quarterback. They go to the line of scrimmage. The ball is snapped, okay? They're blocking their guy, okay? So they lose. The guy beats them. Now they come back to the huddle. Now the kid should be trying to figure out what he did wrong. But he needs to get rid of that play. There's a point in time where he has to let it go. He can't let it fester inside of him because the guy beat him. Because we may not ask him to block that guy. We could set him out on a screenplay. We could pull him on a trap. We could do other things with that guy. You know, he could be a lead guy for a quarterback on a bootleg. You know what I mean? So now you haven't seen that guy in 3 plays. Okay, you let that stuff fester into you. Then you're not going to, it's going to bite you. You're not going to play as well. You need to learn how to get rid of it. I tell them you need to learn how to flush it. You need to get rid of the last play. Go to bad. If it's good, great. Word what you did. What did I learn from this? If it's bad, same thing. Same questions. What did I learn from this? Right. Then you need to get rid of it. How do you get rid of it? Well, we normally give the quarterbacks little code things to say. Like when they step into the huddle, I got it. Okay. Or listen. Or give me your eyes. At that point, you need to get rid of the last play. It's ancient history. It's gone forever. You're never going to get it back. Okay? The only thing that matters is what's coming out of his mouth right now. That's the only thing that matters. Right? And we don't know what the next play is going to be. The only play that you know is what he's calling right now. So that you have to learn to stay in that moment. Okay? And that's the toughest thing to teach him. Toughest thing. So I think some of the pro golfers do it the best. They hit a bad shot. Well, they walk up to the ball. When they're ready to hit the next shot, that last shot is gone. Right? They ain't worried about that anymore. The only thing they're worried about is hitting the next shot. Okay, if they're worried about that last shot, they're probably not going to play very well. I think if you got young children and they're playing sports, okay, the best thing you can teach them is how to stay in the moment, guys. How to focus and stay in that moment that's happening right now. Right? And after that play's over, right, you're like a batter. Right? The batter gets up. He's going to play baseball, right? The batter gets to the plate. Okay? He swings and he strikes. He gets the strike. Okay? He needs to fucking learn from it and forget about it. Because he's going to hit the next pitch. The next pitch is coming. Whether it's a ball or strike, that next pitch is coming. What am I going to do with this next pitch? Okay? So he has to reset the mechanism and stay in a moment for the next pitch. Right? That's what you're going to teach young athletes. Right? That's what I have to teach the guys I coach. Same thing. I think that's the toughest thing to teach them. How to learn to stay in the moment, okay, and get rid of the last play. And when does that occur? When does that transition occur? All right? So I don't know if that's good or bad, if that helps you or not, Greg.
That helps a lot. Hey, Coach, I want to thank you. I think we're good. I want to thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode of Pro Mindset. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. 5 stars, of course. You can follow us on our website, ProMindsetPodcast.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pro Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you the next time.